I welcome you to another session on research writing. We have started a discussion on how to write original AI and plagiarism-free research. We have discussed three important skills that you need to write an original research. In this session, we want to look at the issue of paragraphing, which is an item, a topic that derives from the last critical skill, which is the last item, the topic that derives from the last item, which is the good writing skill. So what is a paragraph? A paragraph is a body of sentences united by a single idea. United by a single idea. Remember, in the last class, we talked about you engaging in critical thinking and harvesting different ideas which you want to develop. And we also talked about organizing these ideas into an outline. Now, by the time you now want to implement the outline, you are going to implement the ideas paragraph by paragraph, meaning that one single idea will have to be developed in a paragraph. And as we have just said now, that a paragraph has to do with a number of sentences which need to be united by a single thought or single idea. So all the sentences that make up a single paragraph can be classified into three. We have what we call the topic sentence, and we have the developing sentence, and the last one is what we call the concluding sentence. The topic sentence is the sentence that holds the major idea of the paragraph, the key idea, the key point of that paragraph. The sentence that holds it is what we refer to as the topic sentence. In other words, if you have an outline and you pick up one idea from the outline that you want to develop, that idea which you have chosen, which you have taken, will have to develop in a single paragraph. Now, the sentence that holds that idea in that paragraph is what we call the topic sentence. And it is usually advisable, particularly for burgeoning writers, developing writers, to place their topic sentence as the opening sentence at the beginning of the paragraph. So that at the opening of that paragraph, you declare that topic sentence, you declare the major idea of that paragraph. Then the subsequent sentences in that paragraph should now be these sentences that will be explaining that topic sentence, that will be explaining by way of giving us illustration, by way of giving us more information, by way of giving us examples that will make us understand the idea in the topic sentence. So the more explanation, the more illustration, the more examples that we give will now determine the length of that paragraph. That's why you see that some paragraphs are longer than others. This is because some may require more explanation than others. So at least you are going to have the topic sentence in each paragraph. Note, is usually one. There will be one topic sentence for every paragraph. But the developing sentence can be as many as possible, depending on how well you want to explain the topic sentence. Then the third one is what we call the concluding sentence. So the concluding sentence wraps up the discussion in a paragraph. It closes the discussion in that paragraph. So, meaning that at least a single paragraph should have not less than 3 sentences. At least one for topic. No, your topic sentence is always one. Your topic sentence will be one sentence. Then at least you are going to have one sentence as a developing sentence. But you are supposed to have more than that. Then you are going to have one as a concluding sentence. So if you calculate it, give and take, you should have nothing less than 3 sentences in a single paragraph. So that is for a single paragraph. So you now do the same for all the ideas which you have outlined, that appears in your outline. Yes, it's just like you are explaining something to somebody else. But in terms of this research, instead of you explaining verbally or orally, you are now explaining through your writing. And this is how you need to organize your thoughts very well. Now, all the paragraphs that you have, there's something that must run through them. And that is what we can call cohesion and coherence. What we mean by this is that all the paragraphs must have something that links and binds them together. There must be connection with all of them. It's just like I started by using an explanation, an example of house building plan, when we are talking about thought organization. The writing itself, the way a house will have to link with one another, there must be a connection with all the paragraphs that make up your essay, your research, all of them. There must be a connection. Something will connect all of them together. That is when we now have a cohesive whole at the end of the day. We can read your research and understand it. You can see where originality begins from. You understand? It requires some kind of discipline. If you follow this, I think you should be able to have this originality in your research. Now, I've mentioned coherence, that all the ideas will have to relate with one another. Then cohesion requires linkage with all the paragraphs. There is something we call transitional devices. Transitional devices. These are items that link paragraphs together. For instance, you want to move from one paragraph to another paragraph. When you are beginning the second paragraph, there must be a statement that will link that second paragraph with that first one. It could be to start with. You know, of course, there is no write-up or even speech that will begin with to start with. You must have said something before you can say to start with. So which means you want to link what you want to say now with what you have said before. So it's the same thing when you're also writing. There should be these transitional devices in all your paragraphs. You understand? It is not always that the transitional devices are there. But there are two ways of doing this. One is you can use the transitional devices. The second one, we also have what we call continuity of thought. That means we can achieve coherence either through transitional devices or through continuity of thoughts. Now, when you use transitional devices, we want to see those devices explicitly used. For instance, to start with, another paragraph, you can say, in addition to what was earlier stated, then you say whatever you want to say. Or you say, contrary to what was developed in the preceding paragraph. Or you can say, furthermore, moreover, more so, also, and so on and so forth. These are all transitional devices such that once they are used, it helps the reader to link the new idea which you want to give us with the previous idea which you have given us. Immediately you say, on the contrary, your reader knows that yes, what you want to say now has to contradict what you said earlier. But when you say in the same vein, it helps the reader to know that you want to give us a similar view or a similar point with what you said earlier. So that is one way, coherence through transitional devices. The second one is what we call coherence through continuity of thought. Some paragraphs may not have these transitional devices. But once we read that paragraph, we can see that it is the same idea which is developed in the preceding paragraph that is now continued in another paragraph. And that's what we call continuity of thought. That means the thoughts we had in the preceding paragraph has been continued in another paragraph. Because sometimes, for instance, it is possible that the thought you are trying to explain or address in one paragraph requires a lot of embellishment, a lot of illustration. And if you put all of them together in one paragraph, it could make the paragraph boring, and that can collapse the thoughts. So instead of doing that, that kind of idea can be addressed in more than one paragraph, so that the idea you have in the first one, you continue it in the other paragraph. So when you do that, it is not important for you to use the transitional device anymore. So that when you do that, we'll say you are using coherence through continuity of thoughts. So these are the two ways. So all your paragraphs must achieve both coherence and cohesion for you to have good organization of idea. And this is why we highlighted those three important skills for you to achieve an original or write an original research. Good or critical thinking skills is non-negotiable. Good organizational skill is also non-negotiable. Then the third one is good writing skills. You see, a lot of students do not pass through these three skills, do not think of these skills before they begin to write. They just think writing research is as easy as ABC. Yeah, it's as easy as ABC, but it has some guidelines, some processes. Yes. So in order to successfully pass through those processes, you need, in fact, before you write at all, begin to do writing, you must efficiently engage in the first two skills. which is critical thinking skill. Remember, that's where you are going to bring up the ideas. It's a lot of work. You must do a lot of brainstorming. Sometimes it might even require you to engage in interviewing experienced people about the phenomenon. But as you are doing that, you are harvesting the ideas. You are putting down the ideas. And then the second one will now have to do with organizing the ideas. You plan, you arrange the ideas. Yes, it's like you want to build a house too. You understand? You think, what kind of house do I want to build? Do I want to, depending on the resources you have? Is it 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom? Is it bungalow? Is it duplex? All those, where do I build it? These, all those things, they have to do with critical thinking skills. Then it is when you have sorted this, you can now move to, maybe you go and purchase the land. You understand? You purchase the land and then you ask somebody to give you a building plan, to write a building plan for you. So now compare a situation where you build a house without a plan. Compare what will happen with you having a plan before building the house. You know, when you build a house before without a plan, there is bound to have a lot of problems at the end of the day. I've seen a lot of funny images on Facebook and the rest. You understand? You see somebody building a duplex, but what do you call it? The staircase is not properly placed, and so on and so forth. Some of these problems can be avoided if you have a plan before the house. So somebody will not vet the plan. You check the plan. You can even tell the planner, you put 2 windows here. No, there will be problem of ventilation. Can we increase it to 3? Say, okay, why not? Yes, I can increase it. Now that is at the planning level. Assuming the house has been built and there were two windows, and then that's when you now discover that there is ventilation. You know, you now you are going to have a problem. You understand, in solving that anomaly and so on and so forth. So now, this is the second part of the topic: how to write an original AI and plagiarism-free research. In our next sessions, we are going to delve into how to do some of these things practically. I mentioned it the other time. I'm going to share my screen with you so that you see how to put some of these things I've said into practice. But before then, if you have any questions, any observations about some of the things we have discussed in this session or in the previous one, please put them in the comment section. Let me see how to begin to address some of them before our next meeting. Thank you very much.